Hey everyone, welcome to another review, and I'm going to be reviewing the television show Bel-Air, 2022's Bel-Air. Bel-Air is pretty much a reboot or remake of the 1990s classic television show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But the story is told in a more gritty and realistic and dramatic way. And apparently it was like based off like this YouTube fan channel who made like this Bel Air thing, and Will Smith found out about it, and they just greenlit this show. It was basically almost like a passion project for Will Smith and stuff, which is great. I love Will Smith. Excited to see him win his Oscar for King Richard, hopefully. I love Will Smith, and I love the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I grew up with the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I was born in 1991, so I was in the perfect age for Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I used to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air just before I went to school in the morning. I used to watch Fresh Prince, and I loved the show. I think it's one of the best comedic shows. I think Seinfeld, Friends, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air are some of the best comedic television shows ever. Uh, I have no idea why they remade the show. Absolutely have no idea why. No fucking idea. And after watching the first season, I am baffled that this show exists. And I am so sorry that people are going to hate me for this, because I know there are people who are liking the show and they like the way it's going. They like the show and how it's talking about cultural things. They like that it's more grittier and it's like this real version of Prince of Bel-Air. I fucking hate it. I cannot stand the show. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's necessary or needed. And when I was watching it, I literally just wanted to watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I literally went on Crave and watched episodes of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air after this show was done, after finishing it, because I needed to watch something good and something enjoyable and relatable and feel good and just with great characters. I don't know what they did to these characters in this show. I hate it. I just hate it. I don't know many of the actors' names. I didn't want to do my research because I literally just finished watching it, so I just wanted to just get my thoughts and opinions after just finishing watching it. I'm not gonna spoil it because it literally just came out. I'll try not. I'll talk about little minor spoilers, but not heavy spoilers. What they do to these characters in this show is horrible. This is like Cowboy Bebop again, like what they did to Cowboy Bebop show. They're doing to Fresh Prince. They're taking all the shows that we all grew up with in the past, and they're just remaking them and just shitting on them. And I hate what they're doing. I really hate this. This new guy who plays Will Smith, almost the same thing, kind of story. He gets involved, fights, gang fights. His mom sends him to Bel-Air to live with his Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, and he has to go to school and, get a better life for himself. He meets up with his Uncle Phil, Aunt Viv. They're great parents. They have kids. Their daughters Hillary and Ashley, and their son Carlton. Carlton played amazing in the original show. Oh, Alfonso, man, oh god, I loved him in the original Fresh Prince. In this show, he is an arrogant little prick. And I fucking hated his character, and I don't know. I think what they did to Carlton was the worst thing they ever did. Like, horrible. Oh, they just make him into a complete, unlikable, almost villain character in this show. It's horrible to watch. I'm like, what did they do to Carlton? Oh my god. And then they just made Uncle Phil just generic, nice guy, I guess. James Avery was amazing as Uncle Phil, and no offense to this guy. He tries his best, but he's no James Avery. Like, James Avery is he's almost like all of our fathers and stuff. Like, just, oh man. Every time I watch James Avery and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he reminded me of my own father and stuff. And every time he was giving life advice and guidance to his children, and even to Will, it felt like my own father was talking to me when I watched the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was the beauty of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It was such a relatable show to all families and stuff. Yes, it was like a big deal because it's a comedy hit TV show about a black family in Bel-Air. But the best thing about Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all families related to them and understood them and loved them. And it didn't matter. It was just a show about like a black family. It was a fucking good show. It was funny with great characters and great performances by the whole cast. This show tells you a lot about culture, and it's so funny that like in the 90s, they don't like push the culture that much. They just want to make a fun, good show for the whole family to watch. But this one is just all about the culture and how I think y'all know where I'm going with this. Like, you know what I mean. Like, you know how 2022, 2020, well, the past, like, 10 years has been. They really push it. Yeah, apparently things were better in the 90s, I guess. Now in 2022, like, the world is shit. That's why I hate almost, like, comedy shows nowadays, just in general. They all talk about this, like, they put this commentary in about how the world is just terrible. And everyone is bigoted and horrible and everyone's terrible and ugh. Give me the 90s back. I miss the 90s. I really do. Anyways, back to Bel-Air. In the show, they bring in Jazzy Jeff. It was weird how they did his character. Lisa is also in the show. Yeah, Neil Long doesn't play her, obviously, but Lisa came in season 5 of Fresh Prince, but she's like in the show immediately as Carlton's ex-girlfriend. Like, wait, okay, that's a weird choice. And then you have Jeffrey in this movie, and he has a past, and he's more like a tough guy. I'm like, wait, what? Jeffrey, the smart-ass British dude? Like, Jeffrey was my favorite character in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was the funniest character in the whole show. He had this, like, sarcastic wit to him. And his jokes about Uncle Phil's weight, and the kids being spoiled brats, and him just not listening to what Will's saying half the time. I loved Jeffrey so fucking much. He was the funniest character in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Him and Uncle Phil were my favorites. Uncle Phil's the heart of the show. Jeffrey is just some guy in this show. He's just some tough guy in this show. That's it. He's just some guy. That's all he is. There's nothing special or unique about Jeffrey in Bel-Air. In Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Jeffrey was so unique. He was like, he had this British accent, and he was just always snarky. Always had a snarky comment at anything anyone said, and it was always enjoyable. I love Jeffrey. Even the same with Uncle Phil, he's just some guy. Like, they're just these generic people. Even Hillary, I don't even remember Hillary in the show. Like, she's just so forgettable. You remember Hillary from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with her, like, big hair and her very strong personality and the fact that she was just an iconic character because how much of a brat she was. She was just a spoiled brat, but you loved her. You loved how, like, stupid she was sometimes. And you loved that she just was always, like, crying to Uncle Phil. And just like, give me my credit cards and stuff. It was just fun. She was a fun character. Even Ashley, I'll admit Ashley was always the most generic character, even in the original show. But they make her just as generic in this show. Like, they don't do anything interesting with Ashley. Even Will Smith, I don't find him interesting. He's just he's a kid from the wrong side of the streets, got into bad stuff, and now he's in Bel-Air. And it's a rich, uptight neighborhood full of very bigoted people, and he's here to change the ways. He's got a heart of gold, and he's here to change everyone's ideas and minds, and he knows all, because he's Will Smith. Oh my god, wow, the storytelling in this show is just terrible. I don't know. Like, it's I'm like flabbergasted I was watching this. I'm like, what am I watching here? What is this show? I'm like, why? Why is this a good idea to take a comedic family show and turn into this, like, very dark and gritty drama show that is loaded with politics and loaded with, like, political correctness and all that stuff, and just stuff that Fresh Prince did talk about occasionally. Like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air occasionally talked about politics and talked about race and stuff, but that was never the focus of the show. The show was about the family dynamics, and Phil trying to better, not Phil, Will Smith trying to better his life and, adapt into this odd environment of Bel-Air. And it was a funny show, and it was a relatable show. This, I don't know. Either you relate to the show, or you're supposed to educate yourself. Because the show's here to educate you about what's going on in the world. And like, okay. You can't make a fun show anymore. You can't make it funny. You gotta make it dark and gritty and like, this is what's happening in the world. I'm like, oh my god. Okay. I didn't like the show. I didn't like it. I didn't like what they did to these characters, especially Carlton. I love it because, like, the biggest joke about Carlton was he was short and that he was he acted like a white person. That's Carlton. Carlton acted like a preppy white person. Phil. Oh, Will. That's not proper. Like, and he loved Tom Jones and did the Carlton dance. It was great. And it was harmless. It was great fun. And that's kind of like what dorky white people were in the 90s. Like, they were dorky, dressed dorky, had funny dances and stuff. Like, and Carlton milked that up, and it was a lot of fun. It was funny. But if you're acting like a white person in 2022, you're bigoted and mean and hateful and you're uptight and there's no ounce of good or niceness in you, and that's this Carlton. Oh my god. I'm like, really? And then Carlton's supposed to be like a nerd and like this geeky dude, but this Carlton is not that. He's like a lacrosse player and I don't know. Oh yeah, there was never really a lot of white people in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and who cares? Like, the show's about the Banks family, and that's enough to make the show amazing. The show was amazing. But they never, like, shit on, like, white people and stuff, or, they like, the occasional white people they did have on the show, some of them were funny. I know Will's aunt marries a white guy, and at first they're, like, a little, like, weirded out by it, but they grow to love him and accept him in the family, and it's nice and sweet, and there's, like, some characters in the school that are kind of funny, and honestly, a lot of the white people in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a lot of the white characters accept Will because he's cool and awesome, and that was my childhood too. Like, all the people in my school, like, that we all loved and looked up to were the cool people who dressed different and were awesome and cool and shit like that. Now in this show, though, Will's different, and he has a political stance and a cultural stance and all that shit. I don't know. I don't know. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a great family comedy show for the whole family to watch. And it's still to this day a phenomenal show. This is not good. I did not like it. I didn't even think, let's say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air didn't exist. I still don't think the show is that great, because it's just, the performances aren't all that strong. The characters are all very bland. And even, like, Carlton's, like, this one-note jackass character. And, I don't know, it's a show we've seen before. It's almost like Dear White People, the show, in a way. Like, we've seen shows like this done, but now it's just called Bel-Air, and it's just all the characters have the same names as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air characters, but they're nothing like those characters. So why remake Fresh Prince of Bel-Air if it's nothing like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? You shouldn't be remaking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air anyways. It's already a perfect show. Like, stop touching things that are already perfect and making them shit, just like this. They did that with fucking Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop was already a perfect anime, and then they ended up fucking it up and making a live-action show, and it sucked. Glad it got canceled. Hope this show gets canceled, because it sucks. If you don't like what I say, I'm not trying to be mean and trying to be hateful. I just don't like this show, and I don't like that it exists. If you like it, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I just didn't like it. But what about you guys? What do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong? Is there something about the show that you liked? Love to know your opinions. Tell me why you liked it. What about it spoke to you? What about the show means something to you? Or are you in the same boat as me and you're like, oh, this show sucks? Give your thoughts and opinions. Comment below, let me know. And as always for this video, please subscribe to this channel and join the dark side.